Hey everyone, welcome to week 2 of our Gold mentorship program. We're so excited for you guys to be here and for you to be hopping on to watch. This week, we're going to talk all about social media and posting, the to-do, how to post, and maybe how not to post and what to stick away from or stay away from. I want to talk first. I feel very strongly about the first thing about posting is the whole topic is social media. Be a giver, not a scroller. And being a giver also means you need to be giving in the whole circle of social media. So what I have found to be really helpful, and I know a bunch of people on our team have found to be helpful, is to start by spending 15 minutes liking and commenting on people's posts. That maybe you already have a list of people that you're like, oh, I would love for them to do this with me, or they would be so good at doing this business. You got to go spend time and you have to get social in your social media. So 15 minutes before you make a post, you need to do this. And what is really successful is if you look at their stories and you do the little heart on the story and then comment on their story, because now you're in their inbox and then you can continue a conversation. And so many times that will quickly turn into a Plexus conversation if you are willing to let it. And then also as you're scrolling and you're commenting, be looking for things like people might be saying, they're not feeling well. Well, you could be saying something to them. Like if you see something, or maybe someone saying that their stomach hurts, or you've kind of seen the same kind of post from somebody, that's where you can turn it around. And you could say something like, hey, get in their inbox. Hey, friend, I just saw your post. I totally understand what you're struggling with, or I totally understand you're struggling with weight loss. I've been there too, but I have found something that's finally helped me. Would you be open to hearing what's helped me? Something so quick and easy, that simple little thing. And then you can share your triplex video if they say yes, or your microbiome video. So you need to spend the first 15 minutes liking and commenting before you even make a post. That helps the algorithm. I'll talk about that in a little while, but you have to do this. It's a must. Okay, so you already did that for 15 minutes. And now let's get into posting. I would say you need to spend at least 5 days a week posting. If you can do 7, that's amazing. But posting means on your wall. And I also would say at least 5 days a week, post in your stories. Those only stay up for 24 hours. Try to have a goal to post 3 times a day. And that's you, real life. People want to know what you're doing. They're following you because they're interested in you. So you're going to go on your stories and share about you and share about your life. And that keeps drawing people back. Like, what are they doing? And then also in your stories is where you can share more about Plexus. I like to do, if you can follow my stuff if you'd like. In my stories, I share about my life. And then Plexus, I use as kind of like a commercial. I plug it in little bits and pieces and then back to life again. And so often people will they follow that, they're watching, and they're like, I've been watching this. Can you tell me more? So if you're consistent, I promise people are going to start actually reaching out to you, especially the people that you've been liking and commenting on their posts, because you're building trust, you're building the relationship. They see that you're actually interacting and you care. Okay, so for this part, we're talking mainly about your wall, either on your Instagram or your Facebook or both. I do both. I post everything on my Instagram and I share it over to Facebook. But here's the deal. We need 4 types of posts to rotate between, because you can't, please, let's start here. Do not post Plexus every day. Please don't do that. Don't do that. You do not want your page to be like this salesy, spammy, like people go look at your page and they're like, ugh. Don't do that. And I also recommend what's worked really well for me. Sometimes I keep the posts up, but I only leave, if I actually post a post related to Plexus, sometimes I only leave it up for 48 hours max, and then I'll change the privacy to me only. And then that way I continue to go back and post these kind of things. But I would recommend only leave a few Plexus things up and the rest make them private, because you don't want people to feel like you're just they're a sale or another number. You don't want it to be a salesy, yucky page when they come to look at you. So 4 types of posts, you want to try to rotate between them. Number 1, I think this is probably my favorite. I get a lot of value out of it. I learn so much from this one. Number 1, ask your audience. I do this all the time. And it's not just because I'm like, oh, trying to get a sale. No, because I seriously use everything I ever post about. I'm actually wondering, I often will be like, what are you making for dinner? What are you making for lunch? Like we're doing this new, we're not going to eat out every time we go to baseball for 10 days in a row, which is really hard for me because I hate packing meals. But I'm like, what do you guys do? How do you do this? I'm totally serious. And then from that, I've made a graphic and then I've shared it and people are like, I screenshot that. I saved it. That was so helpful. So you're being a giver. You're helping other people, even if you're asking your audience, because when you start being consistent in this, people come back and they're like, oh, she asked, what are you making for dinner? That's going to help me too. And we can all learn together, and they get ideas. So people start watching, they start coming back. So number one, ask your audience. At the end, I can put in our chat. I can put in the chat ideas of what to do, a posting schedule. We have lots. We have a board with all kinds of ideas for how to ask your audience a question. This is a huge one. And then for all of these, when you're posting, make sure you're going back and you're liking their comment and you're commenting back on them because you want them to know you actually read it. You're interacting with them, that you care about their answer. You care that they are writing to you, that they're looking at your stuff. So go interact with them. Okay, the next type of post is to share an idea. Share something, like maybe you have a tip or trick. And a lot of times it can be like, oh man, I can't even think of something. Like what would be useful? It could be anything. Yesterday I posted about how I got the nasty stains out of my boys' baseball pants. Somebody shared about every time their ice cube, I think it was Alexis, every time their ice cubes fall out of their freezer, their water thing, they take the ice cubes and they put it in their succulents. So there's, let's see, I gotta admit some people. So they just things that I'm like, man, I never thought of that, but just share an idea. You could, something you're doing or something you saw a friend do, share an idea. Number 3, post about you and your day. If people want to see you, that's why they're following you. So post about you. Number 4, plexus and why. Okay, this is the big one for me. This is 1 time a week or 2 times a week, max. I do not recommend more than 2 times a week posting about plexus on your wall. You can post about plexus often in your stories, do it there on your wall 1 or 2 times a week. And when you're doing this, you guys, please, please, please do not copy and paste the post. Make it about you. Make it about your why. Share it. Like, I'm sure most of you have a story already. And if you don't, you're going to. And if you don't have a why, share what you want. Like, what are you looking forward to? What do you want to change? Post a picture of you with your pink drink and say something like, I really, really would like to feel, whatever. Or I just got through the day thanks to my favorite mommy drink, or something like that, where you can relate to something that they're feeling. You need to be able to speak to their problems and then be able to give them a solution. So the other day we filled up with gas. We have 8 kids. We have a family of 10. We have a big van. I posted a post that just talked about, it was $104 to fill my van up. And I am so thankful that I have found a way to be able to pay for this without being financially stressed. And I know other people are feeling this way, like relate to their problem and give them an answer, give them a solution, because that's what's going to help them. We want to help them with their problems. So I did one the other day too about like, it's swimsuit season. I know there are a lot of people that are not feeling comfortable in their swimming suit. Who can relate to me? I found something that can help. I found something that can give you that extra energy to get through your day. Let's chat. Making posts like that hit people, and then they're going to come back and they're going to say, hey, okay, what are you talking about? Let's chat. And then you keep it so simple. Just ask them a question and then answer it. You can send them the videos, that kind of thing. Okay, let's go to your next one. Type of post. So ask your audience, number 1. So the goal is to interact with your online friends. You want them interacting with you. You want to interact with them. The reason why is to show the algorithm people want to see your post. And then tips for this one, ask questions that are fun and simple to answer. Don't ask a question that's like, oh, I got to think about that, because people don't want to answer that one. And don't get this too wordy. Just keep it short and sweet. Like some fun ones were like, what do you prefer, Starbucks or Caribou? Or do you prefer the beach or the pool? Or where would you go on vacation, the mountains or the beach? Something simple where you can have them interact. So here's some more examples. Post this. On the left side here, trying to decide between the beach or camping for our summer vacation this year. Which would you pick? Okay, don't post. What was your favorite vacations as a kid and why? And that just takes a lot of thought. You have to think a lot about that, and it takes a lot of time to answer. That's a great question, and that's super fun to hear, but that takes a lot of time. Another one, you could post, do you cook with your kids? Sometimes it's a struggle for me, but I try to think of the memories and not that mess. Don't post cooking dinner tonight, making steaks tonight. Nothing like, you can't interact, you can't comment, you can't, that's great too, but there's just try to think of how you can have interaction.
We're having quiet time right now. I'm laying down.
So the second type of post, share an idea, the goal to add something helpful to your network. Why? You want to be a giver, not just a scroller. We want to be helping and help them. It helps us, the whole thing. Don't overthink it. If it's helpful to you, it will be helpful to someone else. I promise it definitely is every time. The ones that I have overthought and thought, not going to be a hit. They're like, I get private messages like, oh, thanks for sharing. That was super helpful. Okay, so ideas that you can use. Something in your home, like just look in front of you. What are you using? If you're using it, post about it. Like I'm drinking my Active out of a mason jar and I love these metal straws. Mason jars are cheap. We all use them. These metal straws. You can make a post about that, how you love that. You could post about recipes that you make often, a thought or advice, something that you learned or something that you're enjoying. So another one of these examples, painting nails with my daughter tonight. That's super awesome. That's great, but they can't interact with that. So, or else you could post, spending one-on-one time with each child can be hard, can't it? It is for me at least. One simple way I can connect with Sarah is a weekly polish change. It becomes a special ritual. If you need a quick idea, go grab Polish Friends. They feel so special. And then you feel that and you're like, oh, good idea. I could quick go do that. That takes a couple minutes and I just made my daughter's day. Okay, so here's another one. Didn't share because pens aren't worth sharing. So they weren't going to share that. Or do you love things organized but pretty? If so, you want these pens in your life. Erasable gel pens, share the Amazon link. And you could even say, what are your favorite pens? Share the link too. So it's just, can you see the change and how helpful this is? Like, oh my goodness, if I saw those pens, I love pens. I love pretty things. I love writing different color all over my notebook. I would probably go buy those pens. So just little things that might be right in front of you that would be helpful, because if you're using it, your people probably want to know about it too. Okay, the third type of post, you and your interest. So the goal is to allow your audience to get to know you. Why? Because people want to connect with you, and then they feel like they know you and what you're about and who you really are. And make sure that you are in a post at least once a week that show your interests. So your face, like you physically need to be in a post. And I would really recommend your face being on your profile picture. I know there's some people that it's like a pet. Put you on your profile picture and put you in your post. Okay, and so this is an Instagram. If you pull up Instagram, this is a couple different examples, but which one would you prefer? The one on the left or the one on the right? Like, which catches your eye? I love the one on the right. You see the person, you see there's interaction, there's family, like what are they doing? So it's just nice to have, like, even when you look at your people that do Instagram, when you look, you usually see the first 9 squares. Try to have a goal that your picture is in one of those 9 squares. So those are kind of a little overview. We have lots of ideas, but if you stick to this, it doesn't have to be the same thing every day, but this will give you kind of a guideline on what to do. I promise you, maybe in the beginning, you won't get a lot of comments, but the more you do it and the more you comment back to the comments that you're getting, people are going to continue to show up and they're going to start looking. If you can post at the same time every day, people will start coming back to look like, oh, did she post yet? And again, that really helps the algorithm and it helps everything. So don't forget to like and comment other people's things before you make your post. but then come do this. You're not going to regret it. It's amazing. Okay, now let's just talk for a second about the algorithm. Like I told you in the beginning, spend 15 minutes. They call it warming up the algorithm. So spend the 15 minutes liking and commenting on posts. But I spend probably most of that time looking at stories, liking those, because I love that we can be in their inbox. And then that's where the conversation can easily flow. But I would say, a couple times a week, make sure you're looking at what are they posting and liking that too, and commenting on it and being genuine, and don't write just a one-word answer, like genuinely write back to them. Or maybe you can go message them from that post and say, hey, I saw this, and give them an idea. Like maybe they were sharing a meal idea and then you thought of one that they might like. Here's a recipe that I thought you might like. So the Facebook algorithm determines which posts people see every time they check their Facebook feed and in which order they show up. So when you go to your screen, you'll get this list of people you scroll through. Well, that's the whole algorithm. Essentially, the Facebook algorithm evaluates every post. It scores posts and then it arranges them in descending order, non-chronological order of interest for each individual user. So the more that you're liking and commenting, the more you're interacting on your own, then you're going to be at the top of the algorithm on your friends' Facebook walls. So that is what I have about this. And I wanted to back up for another second, and we talked a little bit about the Plexus and posting Plexus. So I'm going to have Wendy hop on, and I would love for Wendy to share. It's super, super, super important, you guys, to stay compliant. We have the FTC. There's a lot of different organizations that are looking at not just Plexus, but all businesses out there. And we need to be ethical in what we're doing and posting the right way. And Wendy is super knowledgeable in this too, but I would love for her to add a little bit about how to stay compliant and post the right things when you're posting about Plexus.
Yeah, so, okay, the first thing I'm going to address when we're talking about compliant posts is I'm going to try to roll this all into one thing. Going back to Heather talking about algorithm. I know that Heather has done a really good job of making sure that we comment and post on each other's, or comment and like on each other's personal posts. We shared them in the chat and we're like, we need feedback. But I'll tell you what, anytime that you go and give feedback on another person's Plexus post, your audience sees what you're commenting, okay? So now imagine if you went and copied somebody else's post because you thought it was so good and you wanted your audience to see it, and then you wanted everybody else to comment on it. Now they're seeing 2 of those posts in their feed. So if you did this, if 5 of you did this, or 10 of you did this, all of your audience is going to see the exact same post over and over and over and over and over again. And that is incredibly unauthentic. So I really feel that testimonies should be in team pages, because that builds belief to the new people that come into your business. And it's giving you ideas on how Plexus can help other people. Okay. Now, what do you do with those testimonies? Well, what are they good for? I mean, they're just right there on a team page. Who are they helping? That's when you take the testimony and you write it from a feeling point. Okay. So we're going to talk about this testimony of migraines. Okay. This person had an incredible migraine testimony, and you're going to write it in a way that says, I know what it feels like to lay in bed. Your head is aching, your eyes are throbbing, the room is black, and the children are playing by themselves in the living room because you don't feel good. What if you could instead be interacting with your kids, making dinner together, greeting your husband when he comes home? There's a problem and there's a solution, and you're just primarily dealing with the feelings that those people are missing out on, because people want to read something that they feel like, that's me. That's exactly me going through that right now. And I don't want to go through that anymore. Okay. And so you can take any testimony and do that and just really put in a lot of thought on what that person must go through with that particular level of discomfort. Throwing out disease names, everybody has a disease. Everybody has a disease. Nobody is so healthy that they don't have some disease somewhat linked to them. Get to the heart of what they're going through, what that disease is limiting them from, and then offering a solution, and use your own photos, not their photos, because they don't know that person. They know you. You could be the one laying on the couch with your hand over your eyes and have somebody take a picture of that. Somebody's going to look at you and they're going to see that discomfort and they're going to go, I know how that feels. And I don't want to feel that way anymore. So there's how you can be compliant. You don't even have to really mention Plexus. You could if you wanted to, but really just talk to the feeling of what that person is going through and then offer them a solution, and keep the testimonies in the team pages, because that is where we're getting our ideas. The copy and the pasting and the testimonies over and over and over again is a really bad infomercial, and it's just going to turn people off to Plexus. I promise. That's just marketing today. We have to be so much more creative than we were 8 years ago when I started Plexus. So I don't know if that helps. I hope it does.
I love saving those testimonies in the team pages and having that there. And then if you make that post like Wendy just said and doing that, I promise you're going to have people writing to you or commenting like, oh, I could relate. Well, then you can go and message them, and that testimony that you had saved in your team page, go screenshot it and save the picture and send it to that person. That's what you're going to do with it. You want to be able to be like, okay, here's my friend that felt like, can you relate to her? This is a friend of mine too that can, felt like this. So that's where you're going to also take every one of those testimonies that can speak to somebody and share it, because you don't want to be the expert. You want to make them feel like we walk alongside, we help people, they've gotten relief. You're not the only one. And then you can share another experience. So having them in your team pages, or if you see them on somewhere, save it. Like the Boards app is amazing. You can put all those testimonies in there, and then you have a whole library to go share with other people. So, okay, well, does anybody else have, Lindsay or Kelsey, do you guys have anything that you'd like to add that you found helpful? You're on mute. Lindsay, you're still on mute, I think. Oh, there.
You know?
Good. Good to go.
Okay. So I'm glad you shared about the testimony thing, because I don't share a lot of testimonies on my wall, but it has been something that I've told my team, like, we have that gut health group, that has all those testimonies, like Testimony Tuesday, like that's kind of a super easy thing to like post. But now I shouldn't tell them that, because I totally see what you're saying, but I have like given that as ideas for my people to do if they're struggling with what to post. So thank you for sharing that. I'll have to relook at that.
It's a great, that page is a great resource. And I think it's great to use like in the team page. Go look at this. Or like Wendy said, no, take that testimony and make it to your own.
Make it your own.
Huge. So do Testimony Tuesday, but make it into you. Or this is my friend, but have a picture of not one that everybody's using.
Sure.
All
That
right.
was standard.
Well, I'm going to stop the recording on this real quick.